Hello, everyone. Thank you for checking out this special episode of Really Dicey. This is Manny, and I am here with.
Hi, I'm Amit. I'm the creative director and founder of Sanabo Game Studio.
Thank you for taking the time. I enjoyed our conversation about Legend in the Mist. If I may ask, how's everything been since that Kickstarter?
It's been going very well. We have been releasing the game chapter by chapter to backers to kind of start playtesting it. People are really loving it. We can't wait to be able to wrap it up and share it with everyone. And that's coming soon in the next few months.
Oh, excellent, excellent. Hopefully, maybe by PAX East, I would love to see.
That
Hopefully,
would be
hopefully,
great.
hopefully.
Yeah, hopefully.
So this product that we're going to talk about today, Cairo Otherscape, it came across my social media feed, and it piqued my interest for two reasons. One, I love anything dealing with Egyptian culture and mythology and anything in that region, and also cyberpunk. Just the idea of the two, I'm surprised I don't see more of in role playing games. So when I heard about this, I was like, "Oh, this is a great chance to talk to you again, um,
Yeah.
and
Glad
find
you
out what."
did.
Yes, yes. So yes, let's start at the beginning. What is this project exactly?
Right. So Otherscape is a cyberpunk mythic. We call it mythic cyberpunk game, which is really a cyberpunk fantasy game that we've launched on Kickstarter a few years back. It had kind of a long development cycle because we actually used it to also create the same engine that then became Legend in the Mist. So it's kind of an evolution of the City of Mist engine that's much more streamlined. Otherscape is about a dystopian future where legends and mythologies start emerging back into the world through different type of sources. So they can be magical artifacts, they can be places of power, they can be different types of esoteric knowledge, like mystical knowledge that allows you to tap these powers, similar to City of Mist with a few differences. So it's almost like Cyberpunk City of Mist in some ways, but it has some core differences because the world is given to this incredible amount of stimuli. Sounds familiar, and that is called the noise, which is really blocking people from becoming what is called rifts in City of Mist. So people individually can't have these powers; they have to have sources. So it becomes a commodity. Corporations become interested in it as they discover it, and of course, now there is a mythical arms race where everyone is trying to obtain that new power. And corporations, crime syndicates, governments are getting embroiled in this. So it's a really cool world and universe original to Son of Oak. We initially launched that and the Tokyo, the Japanese mythology setting book, and that was a big hit. And that's now in stores. It just recently arrived in stores. We finished fulfilling it around the end of last year, beginning of this year, and then it arrived in stores in last month. And it's also available on our website. And now we've asked our community, what do you guys want to do next? And everyone asked for another setting book. So here we are.
So is Otherscape, is it similar to City of Mist and Legend of Mist, where it's own game? Is there like a core rule book per se?
Yeah, there is a core rule book. It's called Metro Otherscape, which gives you everything you need to play the game, including character creation and a bunch of adversaries. So it's kind of a all-in-one rule book, and of course all the rules for the game. It's the first time that we published the same engine as Legend in the Mist, one rule to rule them all. So it's very cinematic. It's very narrative on the one hand, but we've created it so that with every action you can choose how tactical you want to make it. You can make it more narrative or more tactical by just adding stages to the roll. So there is like some actions can be resolved without a roll, some actions are resolved only with a roll, and then some actions can become more gamey and tactical by spending your modifier for the roll, which is called power, on different effects. So the whole idea with this engine, and it's Otherscape is like the first time that it's being really fully published, is to give you that range if you really want like the crunchy stuff sometimes, but if you really want to keep things moving and cinematic the rest of the time, you have that ability to choose during the game, which usually in other systems you're kind of locked in. It's like into this amount of crunch or that amount of crunch. So people have been finding it really, really refreshing to be able to switch around how much mechanics they have in their game.
If I may ask, where did the idea for Otherscape come from?
Well, it's a combination of two things. First of all, when we kind of wanted to branch out of City of Mist and we asked our community, what's the next thing you want to see? The answer was overwhelmingly Cyberpunk City of Mist. People really wanted to be able to add an element of technology and the question of transhumanity, like what amount of technology do I add and when do I stop becoming human, and all these things. It really fascinated people. So we were like, yes, we totally can do that. I conjured up, like City of Mist, which used to be one of my old campaigns. I conjured up another old campaign that I made called Tokyo. I think it was called Tokyo Underworld at the time, but which was all about that, which is what happens when corporation exploit our mythologies in order to basically make them richer. And these things combine into what is Otherscape today.
Wow, interesting, interesting.
Yeah,
We should do another video about the Tokyo version of this. But
absolutely.
so, what can people expect uh, from this game exactly? Who can they be? Who would they be fighting against?
Right. So, first of all, it's like all our games, it's really open ended. If you want to play the baddies and you want to play a corporate executive that has magical powers, you can actually do that. But in essence, you will be playing mercenaries, either working for corporations or for an ideal that they believe in, freedom fighters, and survivors who are just living in this really messed up world where corporations not only have access to crazy technology, but also to magical powers. However, as these people living, in these mega cities, you are one of the first people who is kind of becoming aware of this mythical arms race and becoming aware of sources. And of course, your characters can wield very many different sources. Um, from different cultures, and your character may have found in the ruins of a building a place of power which gave them some kind of magical ability, or they could be completely reliant on technology, or they could be one of those characters we often see in movies like in Ghost in the Shell. There's one detective that's just like not doing tech, and they're so you can also play that person who's just like sticking to their humanity full blast, and you're not like weaker than other characters necessarily. So these are the characters you could be playing. You could be playing, gun lugging mercenaries. You could be playing, some kind of internet hacker that also has magical abilities in cyberspace, and so on and so forth. All the ideas that you can have about cyberpunk, but superimposed with some mythical abilities.
When you say mythical abilities, do you mean like characters may become like avatars of a sense, or do you mean like the way some wizards tropes are, where they kind of clerics actually, where they take powers from the old gods and use it to cast different spells? Is it something like that?
Yeah, it's similar to that. There's a very wide range. So I can give a couple of examples. We have Unagi, who's a scavenger that goes into urban ruins and gets whatever is left there, and usually is looking for relics. She has the power of the Unagi Hime, which is the Tokyo, which is a Japanese mythos about the eel princess. So she can become very slippery. She's hard to hold on to, but especially she has the powers of breathing underwater and getting into tight spaces. So it's not a spell that she has to cast. On the other hand, we have in Tokyo Genji, who's a member of the Onmyori. The Onmyori are the real world Office of Mystical Affairs. And they are more like yin yang magicians, if you know that trope, where they are, or yin yang masters. There's a couple of movies that are about these characters and novels. who can bind spirits. So that's like full on magician type of character. And then we have, a character like Wilson, who's actually an American expat in Tokyo, who just has a Oni demon mask and gets super strength and super durability. So there are many, many, many different abilities that come out of that. Like in City of Mist, it's kind of like a crossover of superpowers that have a magical origin. Some of it can be spellcasting, but not all of it.
Hmm. So for anyone that's either played City of Mist or maybe they've been playing the Metro Otherscape book, does this have any like new rules, any changes like that?
Our games are based on keywords instead of stats. They're statless games. All you have is a set of four themes that are keywords. Things like I'm Unagi Prince. I'm the Eel Princess. I have the powers of the Eel Princess, or I'm a scavenger, or I am a firearms master, or and so on and so forth. Or I have an implant that's really a key to my character. For example, someone that has like a boosted nervous system, and these keywords have then other keywords under them. And so the game is super accessible. You can actually look at a character sheet and know what the character is about without knowing anything about the game. You instantly know what the character is and what they can do. And then whenever you need to take an action, the basic role is just count the number of keywords that you have that are relevant for your action you're taking and add them to a 2d6 roll. So that's it. You guys know how to play out Escape now. And There is a range of things that you can do, a lot of different types of, we call these keywords tags. So a lot of different tags you could get. You could get magical tags, item tags, skill tags, different, really anything you can come up with. You can even have a tag for specific situations you're good at, or even a phrase. Like we had a character that has a tag, listen, son. So every time you have a conversation with someone and you start it with, listen, son, then you get a +1 for your roll. So it's a really, really creative system. Yeah, and quite easy to pick up.
Hmm. Uh, is the art style for this similar to what you've done for your other projects?
It is and it isn't. It's a different artist. This is a little more manga anime, a little slightly more than other games, simply because our main inspirations are Ghost in the Shell and Akira and a lot of other anime and manga that are kind of, I think, kind of defined a certain subgenre of cyberpunk. Um, so we're trying to kind of pass on that feeling to our players through the art.
Hmm.
But it
So
is
let's.
all like our other games. It's all very like graphic novel style. Yeah.
Oh, okay, okay, excellent. Because that's what really, in my opinion, really stands. Like when I know something's coming from you and your company by the art style, it's just so very dynamic.
Right.
Um, you know,
Thank you.
I don't think I asked you this last time. Were you did you grow up reading a lot of comic books or a lot of graphic novels? Because it seems very all your work seems very inspired by that type of style.
Yeah, so realistically, I was growing up in Israel. We didn't have a lot of access for comic books, not nearly as much, obviously, as in the United States. But I was obsessed with it. So I didn't have a lot of comics book, but I really, really loved the style. And I could, when we got online and everything got connected to the internet, I was like digging up this kind of stuff. I was magnetized by anime movies from the first time they arrived. Ghost in the Shell was a huge influence for me as a teenager. Then shortly later came Princess Mononoke, which is a huge influence on Legend in the Mist. So yeah, definitely a big part of the creative direction that we have is related to comic books, anime, graphic novels. I think it's an amazing medium.
Mm.
Yeah.
So, so I know your Kickstarters tend to be really phenomenal. They're always great stretch goals. Do you plan something like this for Cairo or Escape?
Yeah, absolutely. So Cairo is a really interesting project. It's in some ways it's nothing like we've ever done before because while we had Japanese people on the team when we were writing Tokyo, Cairo was completely envisioned by Egyptian people who live in Cairo. So that's a really, really amazing angle. And as such, we have a lot of different ideas about how to expand it. We have a ton of things that we want to do with it in terms of factions, local groups that are operating in Cairo, the connections between Cairo and Luxor or Alexandria, where there are additional temples. Well, Alexandria is a whole city; it's a different story. Even though it does have its own set of temples, and there's a couple of sites on the way, like Damanhur, that have additional temples. But we also want to go to Upper Egypt and touch on that. So there's really a lot of stuff that we could do here. Some of it we've just put in the base book. A lot of it is going to be stretch goals and more characters, more accessories for the book, and so on. For example, an adversaries deck. So yeah, there's a bunch of things we'd like to do. There's so much lore that you could get into in Egypt, right? It's really endless.
I see that the book will have like over 100 plus items. Are they all like technology? Is it magic? What does it
Yeah.
consist of exactly?
Yeah, so what we try to do in a setting book like that is we try to create a little bit of both. We want to have a certain, each one of these locations has a certain approach to technology. Okay, so for example, Tokyo is very hardware oriented, not so much software oriented. So they have a lot of like kind of like ready-made boxes that you can plug into your hacking console. Just to give you an example, that's very unique to Tokyo. Like it has its own tech. And Cairo is the same. Cairo is really interesting because actually in Cairo there is a very traditionalist central group that's kind of trying to protect the people of Cairo from uh, becoming too changed and altered by tech or by magic. They're kind of a very humanity focused group, which is really interesting because it has its light and its dark sides. And as a result from that, cybernetics is not a really it's taboo in parts of Cairo. So this is really interesting in a cyberpunk setting where everybody is expected to have cybernetics. So either you have a lot of modifications that is external, like exoskeleton suits, or you have cybernetics that are really designed to look authentic. And combine that with the high copy culture of Cairo, as it's reflected to us by our writers from Cairo. There is a very big market for high copy of things. Really fake, but it is almost even better than the original. And we're looking into that for technology as well. On the relics and magic department, we have endless space because any kind of ancient Egyptian relic could have powers. So we have copies of books that are dedicated to Sobek, the Nile, the god of the Nile. There is an actual real world magical mystical book that's written on papyrus and parchment. And you have every urn, every scepter, every crown, every part of a mummy could potentially be a relic. So another big part of Cairo is that there is a really big artifact industry. Smugglers, archaeologists are all characters that you can play or fight against. Some of them do it because they want to save this national treasure of Egypt. Others do it for greed. So that's another really big gear related aspect of this book.
Hmm. I see also that there's something called Neuro Otherscape involved in this project. Now, is that a separate book? Is that part of Cairo?
No, that's a separate book. So when we approached this project, we asked the community, what do you want the most? And the first answer was, we want a Cairo ancient Egyptian and Arabian mythology setting. And we're like, great, we're doing that. And then what do you want second? And they said, we want a city centric campaign. And we said, okay, we're going to put that into the Cairo book. So Cairo book has a mini campaign, well, a 6 adventure campaign built into it. But then we also wanted to do something for, maybe like expanding the Otherscape universe in general. And Neuro Otherscape is a cyberspace expansion. So we have a lot of rules, obviously, for playing in cyberspace, VR, AR, near space, deep net, dark net. Um, but you can always expand on that. And now we're going to have a book that's fully for um, playing in cyberspace, and that's going to contain a lot of new character tropes, character creation, gear in terms of apps you can load as a hacker and things like that. Um, but there's also a really interesting event that's happening where the mythoi, the legends and the myths are invading cyberspace. They're discovering that cyberspace is a really good place to manifest because it's a realm of thought, and they're actually creeping into cyberspace. So the internet isn't as safe as it used to be. You could actually fall into a dream while using the internet, and it becomes a new frontier, and it's a whole spin on things.
Wow, it's almost like if you take the aspects of Stargate and the Mummy and you add that to Tron, and you get Neuro Otherscape. Is that, am I understanding that correctly?
Yeah. It's there are like touch points between the books, for sure. But we're creating it as a kind of a really robust expansion for Otherscape, where you get a new city book with a full with a campaign in it, and you also get an expansion that will allow you to just expand your Otherscape world. And
Hmm.
one of the most interesting characters that kind of are the touch point between character types are the jinn. So the genie, the jinn from Arabian mythology. We're actually leaning very hard into the original mythology of this, and but we're giving it a cyberpunk twist. So the jinn have kind of they're creatures of legend that are coming out of the world of legends, but they realize that they can exist in cyberspace and in meat space at the same time. So there are these dual entities that are always connected into cyberspace, but they can also instantly vanish from one of those realms. So they can become invisible in meat space, or they can vanish from cyberspace. And it's like a really new character type that we're working on that we've never done before, because until now you were either human or you were a rogue AI, but you were never like a fully legendary being. So we're kind of pushing the transhumanism idea with this character type.
Interesting. And when you say meat space, you mean like our reality, our physical
Right.
reality?
That's like the
Oh,
cyberpunk term for physical space. Yeah.
oh, interesting, interesting. Um, wow, that's fascinating. I really like the fact that you really talk to people that support your product and listen to their ideas. Do you feel that as a creator that really helps motivate you in the direction you go with your books?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's always been a conversation with our community. Every Kickstarter almost that we did, I want to say from 3 or 4 years ago, followed a survey. It was just like, what would you guys be really interested in? Sometimes we just really have a passion about something, and we go ahead and do it. But most of the time, we'd like to listen because it's the community's world too. The people who are actually going to have adventures there are players. So I think it makes sense to listen to that, and the community constantly contributes to that. We have a community program on Drive Through RPG where people can write and publish their own adventures, their own characters for City of Mister, and soon for Otherscape as well. Um, yeah, so it's like a co-creating process in many ways.
Hmm. What's been either your favorite NPC in this book, or maybe favorite character that has been made from this project?
Well, you see on the front of the cover here, you see Zizi, who is a member of the Agdanes. This is a group. This is a group I was talking about, who is kind of really the heart and soul of Cairo, the people of Cairo, who are really oppressed by the regime of the Ennead Consortium, who are pretty much corporations that are trying to become avatars of Egyptian gods. So they're pressed from every direction. They're trying to keep their humanity. Sometimes they're good about it. I'm talking about the Agdanes and Zizi. Sometimes they're good about it. Other times they can get a little traditionalist and aggressive about it. We always try to have very nuanced factions and politics in these games. And Zizi is a market runner. Like, her job is just one of the ways they fight technology is that they still deliver messages in writing so that they can't be tracked. So Zizi's job is, she's really just like a courier, and she delivers sensitive stuff. Um, from one place to the other among the Agdanes. And that's like a real, for me, the people who created it made her into a real Cairo person. Not just like, okay, we're going to, the Egyptian writers like to call it, we're going into Egyptomania. We're just going to do cool stuff in Egypt that we think is cool. No, this is like real Cairo in a way. And another character I really like is one of the actually one of the baddies, but you know, you can play him as a reformed baddie. He's executive in a corporation that worships Sobek, the god of the Nile. So that's a crocodile god. So he gets all kinds of crocodile powers, including some strength. But one of the most amazing thing about Sobek is that he's a tutelary god. He's a protective god. He protects the Nile and the people around the Nile. So this executive gets some really cool warding powers. Like, they have very strong magical defenses. So it's like executive strength, magical defenses, a little bit scaly, like an alligator or a crocodile. So I really like this character too. But there are so many of them. I can go on and on.
Well, that's excellent. Is there anything else about this Kickstarter or about this project I haven't asked you about that you wanted to share?
Well, the one main thing is that we're going to have, as a for first day backers or first 48 hours backers, we're going to have a set of dice that you get, 3 dice. Um, we call it Sand, Soul, and Tech, but you can see it on the preview page of the Kickstarter, uh, which you automatically receive. You can also get those dice later in the campaign as an add-on, but you just get those for free if you back in the first 48 hours. Yeah, something to welcome all of our fans back into Otherscape.
Now that you mentioned that, just to be clear, because I'm looking at the dice right now over here, and it's beautiful. Does your game use D12s? Do you use other dice?
So these are actually not D12s. They're called double sixes. They're D12s in shape, but they have the numbers 1 to 6 on them twice. So they actually are D6s, but they just roll nicer and they're cooler to look at. Everyone ever always says that the D12 is like the most underused die, and it's so pretty. So yeah, we've had a lot of them, for different games, and people really like it. One thing I did forget to mention, it's really important. You can get the core game now if you want, but you could also get it bundled. I mean, you can get it in the stores, you can get it in our store, in the Tokyo setting, but you can also get it as a bundle in the Kickstarter. So if you're thinking of just grabbing everything, if you're new to the game and you want to grab everything at once, you can do that on the Kickstarter as well.
Mm. And one last thing, just clarify: do you need the Metro Otherscape book to play this game, or is it separate?
No, you do need the Metro Otherscape book or PDF to play Cairo. Cairo is definitely a setting book. It will not have the core rules of the game. It will just have a ton of content for you to play, character creation options for for Egyptian mythic powers or Arabian mythic powers. A lot of the tech and the new kind of like characters and factions, gear as you've mentioned. A lot of challenges to work with, and for the MC or the GM, and of course the as we said the campaign that you could run through, playing through, just like getting to know all of Cairo.
Mm.
So you're gonna get a big bundle there, but you will need the core book to play with it.
I love setting books because they're great gifts for writers, even writers that may not role play a lot or play board games or anything like that. Given a book like that, a book that has so much ideas and information about the world setting, it's great. It's a great source of inspiration. At least for me, at least.
Yeah, I love reading. I used to just read read set books for fun. Yeah, that's definitely a thing that people do.
Thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us about Cairo Otherscape. I'll put
Thank
links in the
you.
description below for the Kickstarter and for the main website in case you want to pick up the other books connected to this. And I like to let our readers know, please check out City of Mist. I we should do a video about that one day, definitely, because it's a fascinating box set. I have it here. And I would love to like go through it with you and talk about the inspiration behind it. But if you love
Absolutely.
superheroes, that and I'm very picky about superhero RPGs because some that can be a little bit uh, uh, too rules heavy. But that game it's just awesome. Um,
Thank you. Wow, I'm so glad you liked it.
yes, yes, and viewers, thank you for watching or listening. Be safe out there. We'll see you next time.